Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for Monday, October 27th, 2025. It's 3 p.m. Would the clerk please call roll?
Gerhard Paytow.
Here.
Here.
Ron Whittington.
Here.
Megan Edwards.
Here.
Thad Mosley.
Here.
Kevin Myers.
Here.
Sydney Telka.
Here.
Marcus Campy.
Here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, thanks. You're going to have to watch me closely. Yeah, you think you got it figured out, and then it just kind of leaves you. The next item on our agenda is approval of meeting minutes. The first item is the Community Redevelopment Agency training held on August 13th, 2025. I've taken a look at those meeting minutes. I don't specifically have any comments. Are there any comments from any of the board members in reference to that long session that we had with the city attorney? No. With that, I'll take a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 13th of 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll just do this by voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The meeting minutes pass. We have a second group of meeting minutes for the agency meeting on September 22nd, 2025. Open it up for any comments or discussion, any changes in reference to those meeting minutes. I don't see any specific items, so with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the CRA minutes from September 22nd, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and with that, we'll do it again by voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The meeting minutes pass. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is Downtown Cape. Nothing specifically listed. Do you have something for us, Taylor?
I do not. I apologize. That was typo number 2 of our agenda. When we sent out the updated one, that just did not get removed. So that's my fault. I apologize.
Okay, that's fine. I thought maybe we were
No.
get a little bit of an update. Maybe
Other than the weekend, as far as we're aware, went great. Cape obviously was out in full force, and all of our partner agencies and everybody had a lovely weekend. Weather was beautiful, so everything is rocking and rolling with Cape. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, the show didn't come off quite like everybody had hoped, but hopefully it was still successful for the folks that attended as well as the businesses within the downtown area. The next item is old business. Again, not a specific item on our agenda, but is there something that you would like to address, Taylor, related to old business?
We've got a couple of things, but if it's all right with you, if we did the new business stuff, so that way our CFO could come up and address the agency, and then she could get back up. I know she's got a lot going on. And then we could move just some staff updates and things from myself and the other board member that attended the conference. If we could add those maybe under items for discussion, if that's all right.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody have any objections to that? No? Okay. We will remind me because I'll probably forget by the time we get down there.
If and when I forget, somebody else remind me as well. Please.
I'll remind you, Jim. Under old business, I guess I just want to touch on, I don't know why, but I keep looking at the different dates that I've been given, and I just want to make sure that our next meeting is November 19th. Is that correct? And that's a typical meeting, not a workshop, on the 19th of November.
Yes, and I have a sheet that the clerk will pass out when we get to the staff stuff that's got our upcoming meetings, the upcoming council briefings, and upcoming council meetings. But yes, our next meeting will be the 19th. It's a little different than our normal date just because of the Thanksgiving week holiday. It was a little bit hard trying to coordinate schedules.
No, I appreciate that. That's one of the reasons I was asking you. I'm trying to make sure that I don't mess up here and
I understand.
schedule something inappropriately. Anybody else have anything in the way of old business this afternoon? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is new business. And we have 4 items specifically listed under new business. The first is resolution number 2025-01, which is the capital improvement budget for the downtown community redevelopment district. We had been given some information from our CFO as it relates to that, making adjustments appropriately at year end. And Ashley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you want to present some things to us first before we open it up for discussion?
I just want to correct a Scrivener's error that I am just now seeing. The memo calls it 2025-01 to amend the downtown fiscal 2025, but it's actually resolution 2026-01, and the actual resolution is correct, and the amendment or the attachment is correct. I just messed up on the memo. I apologize.
Okay. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to take a look at the downtown redevelopment budget changes. And are there any comments, questions that we have for Ashley in reference to that? I'm not seeing any. If there aren't any, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget for 2026, fiscal year 2026.
Motion to approve.
Do you have anything to add, Ashley?
Well, I just want to clarify that this is the fiscal year 2025 year-end appropriation, which is required by state statute. Any monies that are remaining in the trust fund as of September 30th have to be appropriated to specific projects. In the downtown district, the majority, like 78% of the funds, are for projects that are already awarded and ongoing, and then the remaining is looking at projects that are coming up in the next year or two.
Okay.
I think everything that I saw was pretty consistent with the CIP documents and things, and then our initial budget and so forth. So I feel very comfortable with where the numbers are. Again, any other comments, questions for Ashley?
Ashley, it just says on the Exhibit A, it has some of the areas where they're highlighted in orange. Is there something significant about that?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look at the bottom of page 3, previously the CRA agent had asked me to kind of clarify the difference between what projects were already awarded and what projects were upcoming. So the items highlighted in orange in the downtown area are actually the prospective items. These are the things that are coming up in the CIP. And in this year or maybe 2 years out, and everything else has already been awarded. So that's why I tried to highlight them in an interest in kind of clarifying a question from a prior year.
Okay. And about how much on budget were we last year? You said that if anything that we haven't used by September 30th has to be allocated to certain line items. We'd see those certain line items here in this. Okay.
Yep.
Are you able to speak to about how much or, where it was reallocated?
So of the $24.9 million that we think we're going to have at the end of the fiscal year, 18.5 is ongoing projects.
Okay.
And then the 6.5 is forward looking, and that's what's highlighted. So in like the first one for 200,000, that's the engineering work that we're anticipating doing for project 3B in the coming year.
Okay.
And then sliding down the phase 3 project 3, that's kind of looking forward. I think that's going to be anticipating 2026. And actually, I think all of these are 2026 budgeted items.
Okay. And then same for right pier parking lot, we have for the 750 that's set for,
Yep.
the 2026 or the 2030. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments? If none, again, I'll entertain a motion to approve,
I think we've got one motion on the table. I think now we just need a second and then a vote. Mr.
sorry.
Whittington made a motion. So I said we've got the motion on the table. We just need a second.
I'll second the motion.
we did have a motion on.
Yes, sir. Ron said, he said it sneakily.
That's right.
Real
you
quick.
did, and
I
then-
didn't see her waving frantically over there.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
See, thank you.
Absolutely. I see I was paying attention.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ron Whittington,
Yes.
Megan Edwards,
Yes.
Thad Mosley,
Yes.
Kevin Myers,
Yes.
Gerhard Patow.
Yes. Thank you. With that, we move on to the other district, the South End. We have a revised redevelopment capital improvement budget for the South End that has been presented to us with a number of attachments. Ashley, is there anything that you want to address in reference to the South End?
So again, this is appropriating what is anticipated to be in fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. And right now we are projecting $15.2 million in the South End. And I did not highlight because the majority of the projects in this fund are all looking forward. I think the breakdown is, 92.2% are all forward-looking projects, and 7.8% of the balance is stuff that's already been approved. So completely different scenario on the south end.
Any comments from the board? Questions?
It's nice to see the corridor coming down Jacksonville Drive.
Yeah.
They're really moving fast on it.
Anything else anybody has? If not, a motion to approve, please.
Motion to
Do we have a second?
You've got a second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Megan Edwards,
Yes.
Thad Mosley,
Yes.
Kevin Myers,
Yes.
Ron Whittington,
Yes.
Gerhard Patow.
Yes. Thank you. Item C is to take a look at the CRA performance standards that are required as part of the state statutes. I believe, Taylor, this is the first time that we've
Yes.
actually put this document together.
Yep.
Because this is a relatively new criteria by the state.
It is. It is. This is the very first year. We have to have this live and in color December 1 of this year. And then every year going forward. So, kind of full disclosure on that, I do anticipate this will grow. Maybe it will shrink. Maybe it'll shift. Maybe it'll change. It was, and I know Mr. Camphy can probably speak to this as well, it was a big topic of conversation, even just in chit chat at the conference, because quite frankly, we're all kind of trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not. So bear with us over the next year or so while we fine tune this. But really the goal today was just to show you where we're at, where we were for this last fiscal year. This is what, in theory, we will publish on our website. We will be well in advance of that December 1. And then our goal is to, as we start the budget conversations in about March, start having conversations about this document then. And then this document becomes a living, breathing document, just like our budget. I do want to point out there may be some projects. I know the chair and I kind of talked about this via email a little bit. You may see some of the bigger infrastructure projects missing off of this. The reason was when we kind of met internally and read the statute and what the statute was asking for in regards to performance measures, it was more of those broad picture, year-to-year measurable standards. So that's why you see more programming rather than detailed specific projects. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Like I said, this will be a living, breathing thing. And as we learn here and other communities learn across the state, I anticipate between this year and 5 years from now, this is going to change substantially. But we will continue to roll with it and meet our statutory requirements as needed.
Questions from the board? Yes.
Yes, a whole lot more work for you, and thanks for everything you had to put in to get this package together for us. It looks
Thank
pretty
you.
good. It really does, the whole thing. But this piece is definitely new stuff and kind of an interesting self-appraisal, so to speak. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It truly wasn't too difficult. Honestly, this was one of the quicker ones we did put together because our internally and then with the CRE and council, we are so proactive with our plans, with our budgeting. So it took some time, but being as we already had so many of those documents in place, we kind of had a direction and knew what to fill in the blanks looking back over this last year. And we thought the perfect time to bring this would be when we're looking at the year-end fund balance appropriations anyway. So again, unless the state tells us otherwise, I do anticipate this would also be the time going forward. We'll bring it to you when we bring the fund balance appropriation back as well.
And I appreciate the fact that this is kind of a living, breathing document.
Absolutely.
We'll modify, change as we move forward. And my question when I raised it to you about the public infrastructure improvements and things was just that it seemed like that was something we could really get on the list and kind of show some of the additional things that we're achieving. Read that maybe not all of them are done, but we can say that 50% achieved or something to that extent, which shows that much more that has been done and truly done over this past year or so.
Yeah.
Whenever you think it's appropriate to add them, I appreciate what you're saying.
And I do think, again, it could be something where, nobody's even really published these yet. So as we start seeing more of these published and we all kind of start looking at what best practices are, it may be appropriate to start adding some of that. This was kind of the first shot at really taking programming and what we're doing. But I also think potentially going forward next fiscal year, we do have a lot of infrastructure things wrapping this year. And so it may become very appropriate to add some of those when we're really finishing up some massive and substantial projects.
Any further comments or questions? Sydney?
Just curious, so this will be included in information that is available to the public on the website. And so that is in addition to the downtown plan and the south end plan. And so it's like those three will be our public facing.
So we will now be required. We have our plans, we have our budget, we have our audit, we have our financial report, and we now have goods reports. So technically we have 5 per district that we're required.
Got it. That's okay. That's a lot. Thank you.
Just along those lines, a little bit of an aside, I guess my question, I don't know if you've heard anything more, particularly since you've been down at the FRA meeting, about where the state may be going in reference to, the CRAs and, particularly after what happened this year, because with all of those documents having to be provided, obviously there's a lot of information, and I think transparency on the part of the CRAs to show that they're truly achieving things with authorities that they have. Any comments from the FRA meeting related to?
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's definitely still a hot topic. It's still fresh. I think some folks are still a little shaken by how exciting things got this past session. We all kind of laughingly agree that it's a good sign that they established some new requirements for reporting. If they were really planning on just kicking us to the curb, I don't think they would be wanting additional information. I think that going forward, we'll probably see topics come up again to potentially tighten the constraints a little bit. I'm cautiously optimistic it won't look as aggressive as it did last year, and it'll look more in line with kind of the 2019. If you remember back then, they kind of just tightened the reins a little bit because there were a few areas that were getting a little out of control, like providing concerts for their districts. So we anticipate seeing something maybe a little more along those lines and not quite as aggressive as eliminate them entirely. But as always, I will be very active within the legislative committee, if you will, within the FRA, and keeping everyone well informed. Probably you guys probably got sick of my obnoxious emails. I think at one point this past session I was sending out like 2 or 3 a day. So buckle up because we're gonna do it again.
Yeah. Well, something for every board member to keep an eye on as we
Absolutely.
start moving into the new legislative year and so forth.
Yeah.
Obviously, it may be an interesting one. If there are no comments in reference to that, I'm sorry.
Hopefully Jim's gang can keep their feelers stretched all the way out,
They are wonderful.
all the way out.
They are phenomenal, and they have got offices all over the state, and they are great.
We, the CRA, retain them, but I think they do provide a significant amount of other value to the rest of the city government as well. So
Completely agree.
just wanted to mention that. He's not here at the moment, but,
We do have
That's super
representation from the Southern group.
oh, hello.
Don't worry, I'm going to really put her on the spot in a couple minutes when we get to
Sorry
staff
about
report.
that. I
But
couldn't
yes,
see you.
Mr. Gilmore is recovering. He had procedure. He's great. Everything's fine, but he'll just be without him this meeting, and he will be eagerly back next month.
Thank you. If nothing further, then entertain a motion in reference to approve the performance standards and measures for fiscal year 2026.
I motion to approve the CRA performance standards and measures for fiscal year 2026.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Thad Mosley,
Yes, please.
Kevin Myers,
Yes.
Ron Whittington,
Yes.
Megan Edwards,
Yes.
Gerhard Patow.
Yes. Thank you. One last new business item, which is to adopt or deny the resolution 2026-03, amending the South End plan. We had some discussion on this plan at our last meeting. It was presented to us by staff, and I guess you went back and took a look and made some modifications and things to the plan, and
Yes, sir.
are looking for approval at this juncture.
Yes, if I could call out, Mr. Chairman, thank you. He found a Scrivener's error. There was one section that referenced downtown. It should have said South End. I did check with the city attorney. It's considered a Scrivener's error since it doesn't change the context, but I did want to let you guys know we did update that. And then as well, I guess my mind was on downtown when I was typing some of this, because in the original resolution, the very last clause referenced downtown and not South End. I checked literally right before this. That is also considered Scrivener's error, but it is updated in the resolution for signature that the clerk has. But I did want to call your attention to those two.
I see.
Happy to answer any questions.
I will open it up for questions. Anybody have anything specifically in reference to the South End plan?
I would like to add, I'm putting both of these beautiful plans up for an award at the conference next year. Just saying.
Very beautiful.
Taylor, I think I understand what you were telling me when, on page 7, I was questioning this thing reads existing planned unit development projects in the South End districts include, and then it has Sanctuary and Sanctuary Lake. And I was just, I just didn't see that really applying, but I guess you were looking at it a little bit differently from the response that I got from you on that.
Yeah, they were more just referencing, they touched the boundary of the district, but it was just referencing planned unit developments in the South End district as part of just kind of that overall general area. But no, those are not specifically right inside. They almost come up.
Clarify that they're
Yeah.
adjacent or
Super happy to add a quick bullet, a note, like maybe a little asterisk at the bottom of the page that just clarifies these two are not immediately in the district but adjacent. I think that's a pretty
That they touch or
simple.
adjacent to it. And
Yep.
Have some, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, happy to do that.
The other comment I'll just make is, again, in reference to the tax increment financing. As we move forward with this specific item, I'd like to have the opportunity to have a conversation with council in reference to this specific item. I mean, we're not approving it today. It's just, it's.
And the
this is
resolution's
just
not
a-
even written, so I'll be very candid. We haven't even written the
But
resolution.
for me, you know, this is a long-term effect on what we do as the CRA, as what we do as the city. And I want to just make sure that all of us are together on this, not that, you know, we're pushing in one direction, the city has maybe got a different opinion. I just want to hear from city council that
Sure.
they're fine with it,
Yeah.
they're comfortable. You know, 2047, we're not going to have a problem with what is left that needs to be done and the amount of financing that's available.
Okay.
I did have a follow-up conversation with the city manager,
Mm-hmm.
kind of related to this specific item, and he helped me understand a little bit better the fact that we truly are in a very good position,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is possible to release those funds. But again, I'd like to have in it. I don't know when we have our next joint session
Yeah.
with City Council, but it would be worthy to put that on the agenda for a quick conversation.
Absolutely.
Any other comments from anybody? If none, the chair will entertain a motion. Come on now.
Motion to approve resolution number 2026.03, amending the South End plan.
I'll approve, or
We have
I'll
a
second.
motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Kevin Myers,
Yes.
Ron Woodington,
Yes.
Megan Edwards,
yes.
Thad Mosley,
Yes.
Gerhard Pato.
Yes. Thank you. That concludes the major portion of our agenda, and I think you wanted me to move one item to the
Please.
items for discussion. So
Yes.
I'll just turn this over to you and
Awesome.
let you go.
Thank you. All right. So our lovely clerk has got a couple of papers. We'll kind of take one down and just pass them along. Just reminding everyone of our upcoming meetings. November 19th is our regular meeting, 3 to 5. Our December meeting will be the 22nd. Historically, November, December, we usually do not workshop just because it is hard enough to get everybody in the same room during the holidays. So we'll have our 2 regular meetings. January, we will resume and have a workshop and then a regular meeting. Workshop will be the 14th, the regular will be the 26th. One thing that the city manager and I did discuss recently that will be on likely the January workshop will, ironically, the chairman brought up the South End plan again, and that is something that we will likely have on that workshop just to take a look at just our projects that we have currently, the budget that we're working with, and then sort of through the lens of not just kind of finding things to spend money on, but making sure that within our strategic priorities set by council and within the goals and objectives of those, there are not any additional things that make sense and are necessary to the betterment of the reason why we exist, which is elimination of slum and blight. Making sure streets are safe, making sure things are healthy, and making sure we have a good conducive environment for economic development. So kind of keeping that lens on, we will take another look one more time and just make sure we're not missing anything. I will make sure everyone is given ample notice on materials and again, just copies of the statutory framework on why we exist and just kind of some examples of how that'll go. But we'll have a workshop to talk about the South End. And then we'll have our regular meeting. And then council has got some upcoming briefings. We will have paid parking review and purchasing manual update at the briefing on the 10th. As a reminder, briefings do not have public comment and council is not voting on anything. They're just basically like our workshops for information only. The December 8th will be the structure of the CRA and then having CRA code enforcement. And that is looking at legal did confirm my interpretation of statute that we can have elevated and additional code enforcement within the district that is different than the rest of the city. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that with City Council. And then at that briefing as well, FDOT is going to come and I guess discuss their initiatives for the area. So it'll be interesting. And then our communications team will be talking about future sea turtle protection communications. So just put that in there because everybody's always interested in those turtles. In January, there'll be a signage update from, I believe the city clerk is still taking the lead on that because she was the in admin upstairs when that started. So I believe she is still the lead on that project. Beaches Energy will be at that one, and then that will be where council discusses the annual review of the city manager. And then the next council meetings in November will be the 3rd and the 17th. On the 17th, council will have the South End taken to them via resolution, and then from that is when notice will go to the taxing authority that we have approved and adopted a plan. I also have to put in local publication a minimum 10 days in advance of that meeting for circulation of news, and then I also have to notice taxing authorities in 10 days advance of that as well. So I will make sure all those notices are done accordingly.
Taylor,
Yes, sir.
before you go on,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No, that's okay.
picked up on your comments, but just if you would go back to the item, the CRA code enforcement. I'm not sure I fully understand.
Yeah, so we have a code enforcement officer for the city, and then we've got a secondary person actually housed within the planning department that's also trained to kind of spot code enforcement issues as part of that Weekend Warrior program. He kind of does a little bit of everything for us. Something I started learning in other communities are, especially on downtown districts, sometimes you will have elevated code enforcement / different code enforcement processes. So your guidelines for what is allowed in a downtown district may be a little stricter and more intense than they are outside the district. The citation process is also different in other communities where, right now someone receives written documentation and then another one, and then they have 30 days until a magistrate, and it's fine, it works, but realistically sometimes you're talking 2-3 months before something is really truly forced to be resolved. So we have heard the complaints for the last little bit, and we've been trying to brainstorm how can we, because they're valid complaints, right? I mean, there are some areas that are pretty unsightly. And one of those is a citation process where it's essentially functions like a parking ticket. You're not in compliance, you're ticketed immediately. So we'll see. We're going to take that to council and have their discussion. Obviously, those are going to be major policy changes. So those will stem from city council. I do anticipate there could be some controversy just because it is changing something that historically we've done one way. And you hear citation and changing things. We don't want anyone to think we're targeting or out to get anyone. We just want to make sure the standards are elevated downtown as they should be, and that we're able to have tools in place to keep them elevated. So that's what we're going to discuss with council.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, I think we've been talking about this for some time.
Ooh, we have.
At least for yourself and myself to have sat on this board to try to figure out a way that we can help enforce the improvements in the downtown area. But I just wanted to make sure I fully understood that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, again, just for the other board members, the CRA structure conversation, I think, is going to be an important one, too, for the board, for the city, how we all work together, because there's some conflicting information and documentation, and we just need to get some of this squared away. I'm not sure where the council is going to go on this, but it'll be obviously an interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, Sam.
Not to be too funny about it, but sometimes it seems to me that the downtown area, the city and the CRA should be citing themselves, because some of the nastiest little spots we've got, we or the city own historically. Last several years, that's kind of one reason I wanted to sit where I'm sitting now, because it just, you walk around and, hey, who owns that? Well, we do.
Yeah. Yep.
So thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, I kind of diverted.
No, that's okay.
So,
No, happy to answer any questions.
I just had one. I'm acronym challenged. Just for January 12th, BES. What does that stand for?
Beaches Energy Service. Beaches Energy.
Appreciate
Yep.
it.
And
Like JEA,
you are,
which
listen,
doesn't stand for anything.
I am horrible about doing that. I get called out all the time in my memos for using acronyms, and people are like, you have to spell it out. So that's on me as well.
I used to do a list. Where every time I change industries, I do a list. Because, can be, anyway.
I get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We are very busy over the next week, especially in the downtown. So Tomorrow is the classic car cruise in Latham Plaza. That's from 4 to 7. Halloween, there is trunk or treat at the pavilion, and then immediately when that ends, Beetlejuice will be playing Halloween night. The very next day on Saturday, the Arts Market is in Latham Plaza from 10 to 4. The Beaches Green Market is at Penman Park from 10 to 2. There is a walk called Out of the Darkness that also is taking place. Kind of the starting point will be at Seawalk Pavilion. That starts at 9. And then the Thompson Brothers Surf Classic will take place south of the pier from 10 to 4. And there is a volleyball tournament on the beach south of the pier from 9 to 7. And the volleyball tournament will be Saturday and Sunday. So you'll see that again under November 2nd. On Sunday the 2nd, that volleyball tournament, there is another surfing contest south of the pier, different than the one the day before, and then the 904 pop-up is taking place in Latham Plaza. And then on the 7th, we have the Supergirl Pro Surf Competition is coming back. So that's always a really, really exciting event. So we are very busy down here, which is great. I mean, weather's beautiful, so we're super excited for all the upcoming events. And then I just kind of did a really quick one-page. Mr. Chairman was at the downtown business meeting this past week, so he's already heard a lot of these. So bear with me; you'll have to kind of hear my spiel again on all of these. Pier parking lot phase 2 is going to be starting this week. We wanted to get through Air Show weekend, and that phase 2 is the remilling, new asphalt, the striping of the pier parking lot. That is the planter beds, making sure all the lighting is all brought up to speed, and then all of the curb and sidewalk along First Street. And then I think, Gary, you're probably the only one that remembers, but we have these beautiful wave decorative bike racks that also are going to go all down the First Street part of the sidewalk, and they act as, one, a safety barrier to keep cars from driving just kind of straight off of that curb, because believe it or not, that has happened several times since. And then 2, having that additional bicycle parking will be great. So that is starting now. The entire lot will be closed November 4th, 5th, and 6th. We have notified the businesses in writing. We've notified them verbally. We've been putting the word out, but please, if anyone asks, spread the word. The 4th, 5th, 6th, the lot will be closed completely just to really get in there, get all the new asphalt in and stripe it. And then we anticipate this being done really by the holidays. This phase is not super intense. Granted, weather, anything can change. Things can throw stuff off. I told all the businesses last week, if the dates of the closure shift, we will immediately put out a notice, put it on social media, put stuff everywhere. So I will also email you guys if that changes. But right now, that's the plan. All of our proposed changes to the facade grant and safety grant are all compiled in the document. Those are both live on our website, fully funded for this fiscal year. As a reminder, the grant new maximum is $50,000. We're going to be reviewing quarterly. So our first review of facade grants and safety grants will be at that January board meeting. We also told all the businesses this. I passed out flyers with QR codes, made sure everyone was aware. We've gotten, just even since that meeting last week, we've gotten a lot of interest in our safety grant. So I think we'll see a big hit there, which is great. It's what we want. Our 2 new murals are rocking and rolling at Oceanfront Park. That one is almost done and it looks great. She has been absolutely wonderful. And then Mr. Bono is working on the one at 2nd Ave North. He really got out there and realized there were a couple little things he probably needed to do to prep to make it last longer. And he really has honestly gone the extra mile. So he's been wonderful to work with as well. So he's getting started. If you're out and about, please stop by and say hi. Our sea turtle sculpture, Havoc, has got the final contract in hand. I do not have the signed version back yet, but they have it in hand for the sea life in the city. We put out that survey quite a bit ago, asked the public, if you wanted to see a sea life sculpture downtown, what do you want it to be? We received over 400 responses, which for us, quite frankly, that is a lot for a survey. At the time, it was the biggest response we had ever gotten on surveys, which was before the trails. So that was our biggest one then. And the overwhelming response was sea turtles. So that is where that stemmed from. So as soon as Havoc signs that contract, they will be good to get started on the fabrication of that. And it will go in the vicinity of the Beach Boulevard Street and roundabout where the lifeguard station is. So in theory, the kind of thought process there is you're starting at the boardwalk. That's where it starts. The whole plan for the program is Sea Life in the City. So it was to kind of feature different sea life installations kind of down the boardwalk through Latham Plaza. And so that's going to be kind of the kickoff spot where you start. Once that gets rolling, we will then move forward with issuing a call for the second sea life animal. We have not decided yet. We're actually myself, and I think I would like to issue another survey just to see what people say. But some people are like, "Why would you do that? You already have the answer." But it's been a couple years, so maybe we will issue an updated survey, get more feedback, and take turtles off the table, and then see maybe where those turtle votes go. So that's my plan right now: is to issue another survey, see what everyone wants. But the second vote on that originally was dolphins, so we will see. But that I anticipate we'll issue that sometime in the spring. And then Latham Plaza, we're not moving on main construction right now because of the remaining events for the rest of the year. We have decked the chairs. We will not be doing anything there. We're waiting on the 100% document. Unfortunately, we did lose a project manager from our consultant, so we had to pivot a little bit, which, hey, it happens. So we are finalizing all those documents. I anticipate having a good update at that January workshop for you guys, just kind of on final documents, getting that out, and getting that project going. But like I said, we will not move until the first of the year just because of the events. And then I will work closely with Allison over at Parks and kind of look at what the best timeline will be to do construction, and then what events potentially will be impacted and how we can accommodate them. So we will not just go in and say, okay, we're starting, everyone, you can't do anything. So we're going to work with our event producers as best as we can.
Along those lines, Taylor, the pure parking lot, the second phase.
Yep.
Is it anticipated to be done before before Deck the Chairs starts up?
Probably not. Now, substantial completion, yes, because the biggest part of that's going to be the asphalt and striping. That's going to be the biggest change that you'll see. So that, yes, will be done by then. The minor little details will probably still be in progress, but it'll be open and fully functional.
And that was my biggest thought, was just, I know it's a little further down the street from where Deck the Chairs will actually be, but
right.
Parking does get to be a little bit of a premium down here during that period of time, and will the pier be available to park in, and then obviously walk down to the Deck the Chairs.
Yep. Yeah, the parking will be functional and good to go by then. Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a thought back up to the facade grant program. When the state had its subsidy for solar panels, and it was an annual budget, when the budget was totally expended, they would approve requests subject to funding in the next fiscal year. When Jack's Beach, which was kind of the same as the CRA back in the 90s, when Mr. Lindorf had a $3,000 matching grant for landscaping or facade improvements. And again, when that funds were, as I recall, it's been a while, when those funds were gone for a given period of time, he would still accept and consider applications subject to funding in the next issue. I have no idea if something like that might ever be appropriate for the facade grant program, particularly now that we have it down to $50,000. And it's all filtering in through you guys.
Yeah.
If ever there was something that you felt, was fully presented and appropriate and should be done, perhaps we could consider approving it on your recommendation, subject to funding in the next period of time. Just a thought.
Yeah, and I think to that point, I think going now to quarterly review instead of every meeting, I think that's going to help a lot, be able to track that. We get into Q2 and the money's all gone. I think then that brings us in to have a larger conversation with administration and the legal team to say, okay, obviously this is really popular. What can we do? How do we pivot? But yeah, absolutely. That's something we'll keep in the front of our minds on that.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do it. That's one way it has been done by other programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been very efficient for the applicants because they can go ahead and apply and done and have certainty that when funding is available, they will get it. They can actually start planning.
Yeah.
So just a thought.
Yep. Absolutely.
If you see 4 great ones coming in and we only got money for 3, you might recommend to us that we do something like that.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
And then, myself and Mr. Campy were at FRA conference in West Palm. It was a lovely time. It was great this year, to be honest, not presenting or being on the planning committee. So I really enjoyed myself. I don't think get off that easy next year. I think I've already been roped into 2 presentations already, and we're a year out, but that's okay. But I will let Mr. Campy, I feel like since it was your first year as a new board member attending, I think they'd probably rather hear from you than me.
Sydney, I'm sorry, Sydney, did you have any comments or questions?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Sorry, not to derail, because
That's okay.
I want to hear about the conference. Yeah, just a quick question on the project updates. I'm sorry if I missed this, but were there any notable updates on the pier entry sculpture?
So yeah, thank you. We have not issued that call. The art committee has looked at it. We talked about it. We kind of know the direction and what we're going to issue. We will do like we've done on the last couple of calls and issue it in-house through our own platform. Just kind of based on what we've seen pattern-wise, we're not planning on issuing it until the start of calendar year. Just because this is a really kind of weird time of year. I mean, it's on us. We couldn't really issue it till the new fiscal year, and then timing wise, you start in October, you've got the holidays. So I would think January, February, we put it out. We'll leave it open likely because it's so large, 60 days. Usually once folks see a call of that size, and they're going to require engineering as part of those submissions, knowing what's feasible. So we'll have that open for about 60 days. So I anticipate the art committee and then agency seeing design concepts by summer.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Kevin,
One more.
go.
Yeah, sorry. You sparked a thought. Boardwalk activation.
Mhm.
Where did any of that conversation land? I just don't remember.
Yes. So right now the boardwalk is not activated.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
that's
for
all I
confirming
have
that
to
as well.
say. The end. No, I'm just kidding. So that has to be changed via a council ordinance. So we took the feedback from you guys at that meeting. Quite frankly, it's one of those things that's on our list.
Yep.
We had to work through some new processes on council agendas and getting things out, and we had several other ordinances we had to get on top of. I drafted the ordinance, so the next step will be we'll look at it internally. Legal will deem it sufficient, and then we will get it on a council agenda. I think at this point, the soonest we could get it on is the first of the year. But as a reminder, great question. Council it'll be in 2 readings of the ordinance. In theory, they approve it. And then the program we've put in is something that would kind of flow through the planning department, CRA. We'd work with parks because they're events depending on what it is someone wants to use it. And it's a tiered kind of phased approach where in its primary year, it would be very simple, small scale, just simple things to kind of test the waters. And then as it grows, much like we did with the outdoor dining program, do it a pilot year, keep it kind of tight and simple, and then as we kind of learn what works and what doesn't, expand year to year. I think in the ordinance package, kind of in all the supporting documents, I think I did a 3-year phased approach to expanding larger each year. We just kind of learned very quickly that just kind of throwing everything in at once usually backfires. So we wanted to kind of funnel this all in.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, of course.
Marcus.
The
No,
conference.
Excuse me, one
was-
more. No, just
That's awesome. I love it. The conference was very well run, but it's like drinking out of a fire hose or baptism by fire. The amount of information that is thrown at you in a very short period of time took a lot of dice just settling. I took a lot of different notes. And from that perspective, I guess you'd say the biggest takeaways is the infrastructure and the way that we have our organization set up is very good in relationship to other cities and the way that it was orchestrated. Taylor has a huge, a lot of acknowledgments, and we are very blessed to have her in the position and the role that we do, especially in comparison to other cities and what they're having to navigate and deal with. We, it's a very nice to know that, but it's also a blessing to also have the leadership from that standpoint too, in what it is for us. There was a lot of laws and rules, a lot of statutes. The overarching biggest thing was the plan what is the plan? How do you not deviate from the plan? How do you work within the plan? How to make sure that the document is living and active? It was awesome to talk with other members from other cities to see everyone, which I was totally surprised about, was really about the benefit of each other. No one was like, "What have you done for me lately?" type things, but like, "What are you guys struggling with, and how can we come alongside and help?" What are some different ways to look at your problems? And so it was, like I said, it was just baptism by fire. There was a lot of information and a lot of newness for me specifically, because I'm not in development. I'm not, from an industry standpoint, from what I do on a day-to-day basis. There was just a lot of information that I had to glean and soak in.
How did you feel about the CRA 101? I believe you took that.
Yes, I did.
It's a 4-hour session to talk about drinking from a fire hose.
Yep. Yes, we went through a bunch of different agendas in regards to the updates. It was literally line item by line item of the state statute. Yes, literal. I got more legalese in a 3-day period than I have experienced in a very, very long time. But understanding, interlocal agreements, community policy initiatives, innovations, different ways that the TIF is being used, and how it all works, and what we can and can't do, and it's a really interesting the way that other cities utilize the CRA, versus the way that we utilize it, and the benefits of, there's always going to be pros and cons with all things. But the way that we operate and function, I came away with like, whoa, we're actually ahead of the game in a lot of ways. Not realizing, in relationship to other cities. There was representatives from Green Coast Springs, St. Augustine, were the two local that I saw the most of. Everyone else was, Palmetto County, or Miami. They have 8 boards. Like it's amazing to see what each of these different entities have in regards to the infrastructure, how they're regulated within their city ordinances, and in essence, and what the city councils want to do with the boards, or and firing them completely if they're not happy, and just being like, you guys have a great day. We are now going to take over this role, and we no longer need you, and we will do everything. And it's like interesting to watch and to see the interplays of those discussions. Jeff Burton, I don't know how long he's been in, 30 years. And this other Ed, I forget Ed's last name. He's in Palmetto. His was 35 years he's been involved in the CRA. And just listening to the way that they've navigated different areas. And it's a lot of an undertaking, but I highly encourage. It was well worth just the time and the information that came away from it to get you to think about things very bigger scale. And they weren't so much in the nitty gritty as much as they are as bigger development. And so it was very enlightening from that standpoint.
Having had the experience of going to 2 FRA meetings, I encourage everybody on this board to participate. I mean, it helps you understand, first of all, the things that you've got to do by state statutes, the things that you're up against to make things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to really implement other things, implement projects and so forth, and get focused on it. It's a challenge, and I guess I might differ a little bit with what you said, Marcus, in that what I learned when I was there is that the way we're organized is that 95% of the other CRAs are organized differently than the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there are good and bad to each one.
Yep.
In many cases, there are council members that sit on the CRA board. In some cases, the council is the CRA board, and kind of bounces back and forth. Is there a right way to do it? I'm not sure that I've come to a conclusion on that. But hopefully, with the information that you learn, that somehow we can bring all the best practices back here and help us move forward in a positive manner. But thank you for taking the time and going down there and participating. Hopefully, everyone else will have the opportunity this next year to do somewhat the same thing. Do you happen to know where it'll be next year?
So glad you asked that. For the first time, we don't. So we have no idea. Nobody knows. So historically, at the FRA conference, it's almost like a fun little unveiling of like, okay, next year, here's where we're headed, and nobody knows where we're going. It'll be in October. Usually it's around the third week, but we have no clue where. So, I mean, I try to look like at patterns, a little OCD like that, and I try and look at like, historically, they kind of bounce, and they'll be in Southwest, come up more to the center of Florida, and then they were up here in St. Johns County, and then we went Southeast. We've not been to the Panhandle in a very long time. So that was kind of thrown around, but nobody seemed to think that that's where it would be. So we don't know. And we don't know when we'll know, which is also strange.
I will also say this was the largest attended FRA event ever. There was probably, I don't know, 1,500 people.
At least,
1,500, 2,000 people. It was, I didn't know what I was getting into.
I think day one I ran into him and he was like, what have you done?
But from the speakers to the information that was shared, and then there's still a lot of, I guess, debriefing, I guess would probably be the best word to use from it, because like you learn so much, but really what's applicable, because you can always come back and be like, we need to do, well, that doesn't work. And so it's just trying to understand too the framework of the hows, the what's, the whens, and the whys, and then what is the best course of action of implementation as it's run like a business in some aspects, and then the goal is to become above and beyond. We have the blessing of doing kind of dualship of the private and public sector, is where we get to be that bridge or the balancing act between the two in a lot of aspects. And then how does that work? Where does that take us? Where are the other options? Now that we have, monies going to come off the table in whatever years, and, what we need to do and operate.
Taylor, do you have any other comments that you want to make in reference to the FRA meeting? Any thoughts, takeaways?
West Palm was great. It was lovely. The event center hotel was nice. Everything was lovely. I think it was part of the reason it was so widely attended is we tend to forget just how, to your point about Miami, how massive these CRAs are. And, we have here where we've got one full-time employee, and then you have somewhere like Miami that has 100 full-time employees. Yep. So when you're in kind of that bubble of everything's within like an hour for that, you pretty much had every staff member of every South Florida CRA there. So it was just, it was a little chaotic, but it was great.
Good. Any questions? Anybody? Go ahead.
This is totally unrelated to the conference, but I'm glad everybody had a great time. I was out of town and I got a couple of emails with information parking garage.
Okay.
What happened?
Nothing.
Did they kill it?
Nope.
Well, I saw stories that said it was dead, so I was just...
It is not.
That's what I wanted to check. Not that I don't believe everything I read these days,
Sure.
but I just
You-
want to check because I mean I saw the
That
story and it said it was done and over, and I said
That
this
is a
doesn't sound right, and we would have
very
known.
valid question. I appreciate you asking, but no, that is all untrue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
About P3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, I think
good enough. Okay, well then
Taylor also did.
I'll delete that email that's coming through from that media outlet. So.
well, personally, I think, there's a lot of misinformation about the P3 project. I don't, it talks about a high rise, it talks about high rise parking and things to that
It's not
extent.
legal. You
None,
can't do that.
none of that has ever been determined. We know, number one, that it's a 35-foot height limitation for that site.
Yep.
We're not going to go any higher than that.
We
What
couldn't
you'd be
if we
able to
wanted
do
to.
is maybe 3 levels of parking at most.
Yep.
If you can get that in.
Exactly.
And it's all going to be determined through a RFP process with the developer, who will come up with some plans and ideas that the city, the residents will be able to review and really take a look at and decide which is the best option to go with. We're still a long ways from that, and there's nothing set in stone. We don't even have a conceptual design yet. We're not even to
And
that.
nor will we from us. Yeah, we won't even be the ones making that.
That's what that confused me when I saw
it's
the story.
a good point, and it's something I can touch on really quick in like a 37-second or less. We are getting ready to send an email over the next probably week or two once the city manager returns from his conference, just kind of summarizing again, because it has been a long time since everyone reviewed, approved, and looked at the criteria. So we're going to kind of remind everyone of the process, what this state law requires, what the process will look like, how long this will be on the street, and then at a briefing for council, if there are questions at the next council briefing, which will be in November, council can ask those questions then. But as far as the document from our side, we're ready to rock and roll and get that on the street. Once it's issued, it would be out for 60 days, so developers will have ample time. We'll also have sort of a it's not a pre-app meeting, but it'll be very similar to our pre-application meetings where any interested parties will be given a date and a time, and anyone can come. It is an open meeting. They can ask all the questions they want. All the interested developers can, to get information from staff right then and there. And then at the conclusion of those 60 days, there is a 7-member staff panel that then has very strict review criteria to review all proposals against. And to be very clear, that is not us reviewing the detailed financial capabilities. What that is us reviewing is the design, the concept, the amenities, what is matching the criteria that we're requiring, and then the additional criteria that we would like to see, but it's not required. Do they meet those, and will they get extra points there? Who knows? They do have to show that they are financially capable, but that is a very broad picture thing. That is not, we are not reviewing the details of the financial. Even our own finance department, we will source that out to professionals. There are plenty of firms that do that. So then we'll review that based off the criteria. Our 7-member panel will score. Fun fact, when you're staff sitting on those committees, we're normally not held to, the same strict requirements board members are. When we have RFPs go out, we are essentially become board members. We cannot talk, like Heather and I will both be on that committee. We can't go to each other and talk about how we're scoring. That you cannot do that. So it's very personal to the person. You all get in a room. It is a public meeting when the bid packages are opened and everything is reviewed. So that is all out in the public. Anyone can attend. Then we will come to you guys and discuss it with you guys and essentially, hey, these are the top 3 or 5 or whatever council tells us to pull the top from, kind of get the green light here and then go to council for that approval. Once that is approved, then we have to enter into a completely different phase of this, which is the negotiations and who's paying for what, who's doing what, and then that is when the financial professionals step in. So to Mr. Paytal's point, it is a very lengthy process, but nothing is dead, and it is all being conducted very much in public open meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And I can see why they say that we really need her because she's institutional knowledge.
We try and keep the train on the tracks.
There you go. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments from the board this afternoon? There's nothing else on our agenda unless I've missed something.
No, sir.
No.
Not from me.
This time I finally got it right, maybe.
I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
Well, with that, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.